This is Justin AMZN on Tuesday, May 7th, 2019, with a look at how we traded today. Pre-market, after hours yesterday and pre-market today, relatively flat, kind of range bound here. We came down into a low, had some bounces off that with a hammer yesterday, this price range, and got moving up right as we start out the day. And then we came into this very nice indecision candle. What's really nice about this candle and this location, and I don't think I drew this on yesterday's chart, but seeing, oops, let's snap that. There we go. I mean, this was that really key point yesterday. And I don't think I drew this, but I mean, it definitely consolidated into that price. I mean, look at how small that candle was. And we have this indecision right here about, okay, are we going to continue higher? Are we going to break down? Yesterday we broke out and then came back some. And this morning we got going from below by around that same range. Let's see. So from here, the high of 1959 back down to about 1944, 1945, let's say 14 bucks. So 1945 minus 14 is 1931. I guess we didn't quite get that far down. I guess it really depends. If you do 1946, then it comes right in at that value. That's, from 1946, it's up 13, and 1946 down is down by 13 is 1933, and that's right where we're at. So, we broke out, and then today we opened up, or right before, I guess, the market opened, we were right at the same value away from that apex, trading right back up into that range with a nice indecision candle. And so when we get a day like this, or I'm sorry, when we get a candle like this, and you can see that it's interacting with a price from a previous day, you got to watch what happens here. And so easily this candle could have gone up, continued higher, and this is just kind of a little bit deeper pullback off that. But in this case, and also the pre-market kind of did this double bottom thing, and here comes a neckline retest, and we should just continue higher. Everything says, okay, keep going up. But in this case, we actually formed an evening star reversal. Or I'll zoom back in on the day here. Evening star reversal, that's your first signal. Your first signal go bearish is you have an indecision candle that then breaks down, turning into evening star reversal. That's your second indication there, along with where the location was. You got a continuation here, a retest, and it's continue to move lower. We keep breaking these lows. We go sideways for a little bit, and then we're right into our support line at 1925, which we should hold. And the very first candle goes right on through. It doesn't even stop here. We get a retest that stays below, the close stays below. This is somewhat of an inverted hammer, not much of a body to it, but that continues lower. We get an inverted hammer here. This is an inverted hammer. The size of the body is about half as much as the wick. That doesn't even touch 1925, and then that continues lower. It's like, okay, at this point, we've got 5 bearish candles in a row. We've been moving, from the high of 1949.10 down to 1912.83. So we've got a move of 36, around 36 or so, right? About 36. I mean, that's a really far way to go with just some consolidation here. So it makes sense to have a retest. You have this rest after battle sort of pattern where you've got, wait, did I call that the right thing? I keep forgetting if that's the right name or not. You've got 2 resting candles after some, in between some bullish candles. So you get those saying, okay, we're going to continue higher, but they get, they get stopped right in their tracks, right at 1925. We get this candle, which is like, okay, we broke out, but then again, it's still a positive candle, so it looks bullish, but this candle looks really similar to this one with that big upper wick. The wick is about twice as large as the body. The body does actually get entirely above 1925, but then we're right back into it with the next couple of candles. We don't get above this candle anymore. I mean, if this was the breakout, okay, here's your retest, higher high, higher low, it's got to continue, and instead we got inside, and then we break down. And when we broke down, again, we put 6 candles in a row instead of 5. We retested back into this candle's range. I like seeing that. With a bullish candle here, and then proceeded to have the very next candle be a lower high and lower low. These two, let's see, lower high and lower low. Yeah, lower high and lower low. And then another hammer similar to an inverted hammer, breaking down from this. I mean, this candle looks really similar to this one, just doesn't have as high of a high. The wick is smaller. But maybe the people who were going bearish here on this candle after and stop up here, maybe they're the same ones going bearish here, and that totally worked. All this was a really nice consolidation. If we draw some of the lines in here, we can see that, oops, keep doing that. Come on. There we go. We got a nice consolidation like this right into 1925. And that has been a clear level. It's like, okay, we should be bouncing, we should be going higher, and we don't. This is a really clear breakdown, another retest back into the low here, and another rollover. And this turns into like a double bottom down here, and we get a little bit of a rally into the close, which was actually a good rally, and we almost got back up to 1925. So the big question is, what are we actually going to do tomorrow? Are we going to get a move higher? The potential is there that we could gap up above, this area. I think looking at where we're at, we've got this bigger, so it's still kind of hard to see here. Probably work better on a different timeline. But if you draw this out, and I don't know how far it's going to go, and connect these, something like that looks like what we're forming. All of it pivoting really, or the apex really right around 1925. This could probably be tightened up a little bit differently. I mean, if we get some exact values, but it looks like that low fits these three really well rather than this low. There's always the question of, can you use the ones that are for the aftermarket or pre-market, because then you would just be connecting this one, and my apex gets a little bit tighter. And then if I needed to go with, let's say, the highs here, okay, maybe I'm into this price a little bit more than where this one was at, so or do you come all the way back here? No, probably stick with this one. Okay, so if we ignore pre-market, we're not quite there, but okay, here's connecting 2 points, here's connecting 2 points. Connecting 2 points is always going to make it a straight line like this. So it helps having another point here, saying, okay, yeah, we're using 3 now on each line. But still, both of these tend to point around 1925 to see if we can do that. We may completely break out bullish or bearish tomorrow, and we don't hold the values. I like that we're below 1925 to see if we can get a little more of a pullback. Maybe we can touch the 21 again tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to get a huge rally from here to get another gap up, but all three of these closes have still been above this candle. This was a really nice hammer-ish type of candle that looked like it was selling off, pulled into the exponential or almost to it, and almost to our line at 1880.05, and then had a nice move up. So this going on right here, these 2 days, again, looks really similar to what's going on here these 2 days. I would be fine with a really small candle. I think there's some folks that are going to dive in to being directionally bullish or directionally bearish tomorrow for day trading, that maybe they're just going to get stopped out, or premium is just going to be sucked out of the options, or it's not going to have the 2-hour move that you'd be looking for with a stock trade. We could just do something like this where we're just going to pause. Now the thing that this price range, this time frame had going for it is the exponentials were totally consolidating here, and then helped make this pop. They got a little too high from where it should have been. Shouldn't have been up there. Remember those videos. This one, we don't really have the exponentials tightening up on top of each other. We did really nicely here, and that was sort of our ceiling for a couple of days, and we broke down a little bit and then higher. We don't really have that ceiling. We haven't gone below the 21. We're still somewhere over here in terms of where the exponentials are. But what's happening at this price range is these candles here and the consolidation that ended up going. I mean, we have closes within, this range or this range for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row. So for over a week of, open, open market days, we we were just totally going sideways through here. We could totally do that again. What if we get a massive wick down? Let's see, the low here was 1865. That was right on one of our lines, 1863.84. This one was 1880.05. What if we get a nice flash down here? It's retesting, some consolidation. You're going to, trick bears into thinking that, okay, it's totally going lower because it's taken out this hammer candle. It's going to trap a bunch of bulls that are just, roaring higher. The potential is definitely there for that. I know I've had my sights on this target, but we're clearly not there on the 6th or 7th. Obviously, it would make sense if we do actually pull back a little more or grind a little bit more. And then we regroup and we start to aim for, one of these here or here or here or here or even here. And that would just be a really long pause. What if we do that for most of May and we end the month over here, still under 2,000? And people were expecting that it's going to just go up, and it doesn't. It just kind of peters out. What if we get more of a retest like that, or more of a resting like this? It's all totally possible. Let's dive back into the day here. And if you're trading this bearish from way up here, that's pretty much the best place to trade it, but the options may not always agree. So you're getting into puts, and to do it directionally, I'm looking at the 1900 put, which is still kind of close. I mean, the range on this candle is right under $1. So you would have had to take this really tight, but you could also have done like 7x6 here. That moved up pretty quickly. And if you're just tightening your stops, like on the hammer here, you get a stop below the hammer at about 750, and then you get this consolidation and it breaks out. So you can move your stop up to 850. And then as that moves up, you got another hammer here. You can move your stop up to like 950, 1050. After this candle breaks out some more, you can keep moving your stop. I mean, that's just trailing your stop up very actively. And, essentially this went from, 7 all the way up to an 18. You probably could have gotten 10R out of that. Or even if you missed a few, you're getting in on this consolidation here with this hammer, and you're looking for a pullback that goes like 9x8. And that probably would have filled, or maybe one of these other wicks would have, peaked down a little bit lower if you were, putting an actual order in and the stop down here at 8, and that would have worked. That would have been, probably from 9 up to comfortably like 14. So that's a 5R move, and you missed out on some of this, but that's okay. You still got 5R in the day. The other area I really liked is the consolidation of prices here. We have really nice lows right around $12 on this option. If we go back here, you can see that was all of this range. So the puts were not losing very much value. They were really just kind of petering out here. There we go. So this one was at 1030. This one was at 1150. So that was 1030. That was this one right here, 1030. And then 1150 was this one right here. So very clear hammer or hammer-ish sort of candles saying, hey, you should be going bearish here, or at least be getting out of your bullish trades, or tightening up stops if you're going bullish. But I mean, really clearly here, here, and here all came into about the $12 price on the options. And so if you were getting in 12 by 11, totally doable because we hit that price so many times and just held on until we get to this high. That's a move from 12 to 18. That's 6R. That's a nice trade. That's a really nice trade. We pulled back and we did that. Let's see. I was going to say double bottom, but no, we didn't. We did a retest and then a second retest, and these you could have shorted. The candles aren't as clear. You have an indecision candle here. This is just a stair step. This is an indecision candle that some folks were seeing as the retest into 21, and then that started to roll down but didn't continue. The squeeze didn't really help us here because we were already going so much bearish here that as soon as the squeeze fired on this candle, we actually lost the squeeze. A nice hammer here that still had a low taken out. So the rest of the day just wasn't as clean to be able to set something up with some really really clear candles. This one a hammer like this, but it's you need a continuation higher, and depending on where your stop is, you didn't get that continuation higher. Definitely not to 1925. But this taking out the low, I mean, the indecision here is really nice. It's the lows in these 12 cents apart. So this was 1905.12. This was 1905. Yeah, 1905. Those took out this low of 1905.81. It just depends on where your stop is on a bounce like this. You had a bounce here, a double bottom here, that got taken out, or not entirely taken out, but you could see the bigger move is the double bottom like this rather than the smaller one. But depending on your time frame, if you're tighter than the 5 minute that I'm using now, if you're in a 1 or a 2 or 3 or 4, obviously, it's going to show things a little bit different here. Maybe there's something you're able to get in and out of with a really tight setup. Totally doable. So there's a bunch of opportunities even into the end of the day. We had a rally that moved. I mean, in this case, this is the 1975 call, moved from about 250 up to almost 350. Not quite there. So not quite an hour. And then, I mean, you could have been getting in like 250 by 150 just to give a little bit of leeway, and had a really nice bounce right here, into close. So we'll see if that continues. I guess I'm thinking a little more pullback, a little more bearishness, and then a roar higher. We could totally have that kind of a move. I don't think we're here yet, but we could be if we get a really nice gap down, take out the 21 quickly. Then we're looking for one of these supports to hold us and bounce. We could still end up with a candle like this that gets right back up to 1925. How cool would that be? A candle like this sells down to 1865 and then just rallies back up to 1925 same day. I mean, that'd be really cool to see it. I don't know if we'd have something like that. But yeah, we can keep an eye out and see what happens tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Just AMZN. Thanks.